Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined in the studio today by Stevie Nicol. We'll kick things off in Spain, where, of course, Barcelona made a big statement once again yesterday when it came to their chances in the title race. A comfortable victory means there's only one leader. That's on the front page of Sport, the Catalan newspaper. Just a reminder then, it is 3 points that separate the two teams with 9 matches to go in Spain. For more on this, let's welcome in, shall we? Alex Kirkland joins us, as does Mario Malchiot. Hey, this is great for La Liga, isn't it, Alex? You've got these two going head-to-head in battle every single week at the moment.
Yeah, it's great for the league, no question. I mean, Barcelona, as you say, 3 points out in front. It's only 3 points, 9 games to go. One of those games is the Clásico. We keep looking ahead to that Clásico towards the end of the season, wondering, will it be decisive? Will the title still be in play by then? I mean, right now, the difference in the way the two teams are playing is pretty significant. I mean, yes, both teams won this weekend, Barcelona and Real Madrid, but Barcelona right now are playing like champions. And Real Madrid aren't. Now, will that remain the case? Let's see. Like I say, it's only 3 points between them. But the way Barcelona are playing right now, I think that, they look a lot more reliable, a lot more consistent, a lot more likely to not drop any points between now and the end of the season than Real Madrid, who really had to kind of work really hard to come back from 2-1 down at half-time to beat Leganes 3-2. So Barcelona in the driver's seat right now, but like I say, still 9 games to go, a lot of points up for grabs.
Mario, we watch a lot of football, obviously. Is it fair to say if you could watch any team at the moment, it would be Barcelona?
Yeah, because I think, when your coach comes out and he also says that, the key thing was that what he said, that it doesn't matter. They just want to score a lot of goals. I think that's entertainment. I think even if you're neutral, even if you would not be a Barcelona fan, you want to see goals being scored. And the way his team is doing it, because they don't stop, like sometimes you have teams that stop towards the end and he just keeps on producing. And I think that's really interesting. Of course, you have a striker that keeps on scoring and wants to score and break records because he knows, he has some competition against him, but still, he keeps on going on a lower desk. The way he's doing it makes it look so easy.
Yeah, it's interesting, Stevie, isn't it? You take a look at this Barcelona side and the run that they've put on. Out of all the teams we watch, there's kind of a conservative nature to a lot of them. Barca don't seem to have that.
No, they play free. You got to give Hansi Flick a lot of credit for that, because he's the one that puts them on the field in a certain way, whether it's tactically or mentally. He's the one that gives them the opportunity to just go and play. And there's a lot of things in football that we look at stats and everything else, and there are certain things that are kind of variables. And one of them is, if you can go through a season playing free, not always, it hasn't been perfect the whole way. They've had a little stutters. Or you do Real Madrid, and it's stress after stress. Over the season, that has to take its toll. We talk about we're now in the most important part of most people's seasons. Yeah. And if you've had quite a comfortable run pretty much through, as opposed to stress and struggles and questions and who's in form, who's not in form, who's doing it, who's not, that, to me, makes a difference at the end of the year. And so with 9 games to go, I think absolutely Barcelona have to be big time in the driving seat.
What's interesting, Stevie, is that all our talk over International Week was, wow, look, they're coming back and they're playing Osasuna so quickly on the Thursday. And then they've got Girona. And then obviously Wednesday we'll see the Copa del Rey tie against Atletico Madrid. As a player, when you're winning and producing these sort of performances, I imagine you don't feel it, do you? No. As much as you do, for example, if you struggled against Osasuna, or if you're having the run that Atleti are, for example.
And that question actually is exactly what I was talking about just 10 seconds ago. Barcelona's players, it's just another game for them. Yeah. Real Madrid's players, if the shoe was on the other foot, it's, I don't know whether we've had enough rest. Right. And so it's a completely different outlook from both sets of players, how they would look at this game. You've got Barcelona, who clearly went out to play again. And after the game, after the final whistle goes, they're probably all thinking, what was all the problems about with who can play and who can't play? They go out, they do their thing, and they win comfortably again.
Mario, it must be so cool. You must have had runs, for example, when you're at Ajax and Chelsea as well, where you're going into every game feeling like you are the man. You are going to go out there and you're going to win it.
It's almost like the culture, right? Because I think Barcelona's culture is similar to, I want to say not Barcelona is similar to Ajax. I think Ajax is similar to Barcelona because it's a bigger club. But the sense that when you're a young talent and playing for Barcelona in the youth, they bring you up with giving you the feeling. They tell you when you get on that field, you're already 1-0 up. This is how you enter the field. So when you look at the starting lineup from Barcelona, and then we highlight the youngest kid on the field, you know, Yamal, the way he plays is not only the joy we can all see, but he's also very, very confident, and he's unpredictable when he comes at you. That's why I say, like, when you talk about the way they play and how the things they do, he's kind of like the identity of how they want to play and how Hansi Flick makes them play and makes them feel. Because I always say that when you dribble at someone, you have to put fear in the opponent. And the way he dribbles, because he becomes so unpredictable, not because he becomes, but the way he is, it's so difficult to stop him. And that's why, and I think you have more on that side. But as a Barcelona team now, you understand, you guys highlighted already, they are definitely, and what Stevie said was so true, they're in the driving seat because they score. When you watch the game, it looks comfortable for them. When you look at Madrid, they want to get over the line. And sometimes it takes too much. And I think that is going to be crucial in this race because their race is really interesting to watch.
It's interesting, a lot of talk about Lamine Yamal, rightly so, and Rafinha, their performances this season, Alex. But incredibly, you look at the number of goals that Robert Lewandowski has scored. Robert Lewandowski, let's not forget, that Xavi would have been more than happy to say goodbye to.
Yeah, I think it's hugely impressive. A lot of people had a lot of doubts about Lewandowski's ability to deliver like this consistently at this stage in his career, myself included, and he's proven all of us wrong. Because watching his performances, you talk about there's no tiredness there from him or from the team. He's leading the line. He scored 2 goals at the weekend, 2 brilliant goals and 2 really, really good finishes. The first one acrobatic, the kind of sort of moving his body to the right position to get the touch past the goalkeeper that you would expect of a player of his age. Second goal was a lovely finish as well. He looks absolutely back to his best. And like I say, I wasn't sure that he had it in him. I really wasn't, but he's absolutely been key for them. And just to underline what you guys are saying about the goal scoring as a team, what Barca are doing is absolutely historic. No Spanish team ever has scored as many goals at this stage of the season as Barcelona have. And when you think about some of the teams we've had just the last decade or so, the Messi teams, the Ronaldo teams, the number of goals that those players individually were scoring, 40 or 50 goals on their own. None of those teams had scored as many goals at this stage of the season as this Barcelona side have right now. And yeah, Lewandowski absolutely a big part of that, 25 goals now in the league.
Alex, can you just show us your Lewandowski moves again? I think people need to see more of that.
I'm not that flexible.
I like that. Oh, that's good.
But there's no
but then I wanted to say something else, eh? If I add something quickly,
Yeah, of course.
You know what is great about Barcelona too? They can get players off the bench and make them come on. Okay, me being Dutch, of course, so Frankie de Jong comes on, you understand? And the way he plays, it's slightly different than we saw. Normally he's a little bit more backwards and he picks up the ball at the back line and stuff like that. Looks great, you understand? But also back home, they've been saying sometimes you want to see more goals or more involvement in goals. And, like the way Lewandowski, the way he gives him the assist, but the run that he had, the dribble right through the middle of Barcelona, like right through the middle, he carried that ball. He wanted it back, don't get me wrong, he wanted it back. But then, as a striker, they always look for the opponent. He looks at the corner, he goes, nah, you're not going to get it back. Great run, but the way he finishes. But I'm just saying that bench is also speaks volume, because if he can do that, and Torres is also a great answer, seeing him coming, it's just incredible. That's what makes that team so enjoyable to watch, because everybody that comes on, you know what you have to do. You have to deliver, because you're already not starting and you try to be a starter, you better bring your A game.
The striker's a dying breed, compared to generations that you and then Mario played in, yet he seems to be going against the grain.
Well, I think one thing in his favour is that defensively, I don't think teams are as good historically as they used to be.
Right.
And the same token you're talking about centre forwards. And so when you have somebody like Lewandowski, the experience and the smarts in the penalty box, defenders can't deal with it. They're not used to it, as you said. How many true world-class centre forwards are there in the world? Never mind just in one league in Spain. And so defenders are not used to dealing with somebody like him. And so by the time they understand what he's about, it's too late. Ball's in the back of the net.
What's interesting when you compare and contrast Barcelona then to Real Madrid, Alex, and obviously you can not see the game, you think, oh, Real Madrid got the win against Leganes, Barcelona then got the win against Girona. It's as you were at the top of the table. That would be far too simplistic a thing to say, given the manner of the victories of both sides. We've just spent 10 minutes waxing lyrical about Barcelona. We can probably spend a lot more time critiquing what is going on with this Real Madrid side, where, again, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, it's remarkable, really, that they're still in it. You know, they are still in it. Like I said, they're only 3 points behind Barcelona. Barcelona playing that well, Real Madrid with so many issues, but they're still there or thereabouts. And that shows you how much quality they've got in this team in terms of individual players. You know, Mbappe scoring twice on this occasion. But the team isn't quite right. And they haven't been right for almost the entire season. You know, think back over the season and how many times have Real Madrid played really, really well, convincingly, put in a sort of an all-round performance as a team for 90 minutes. And you can't think of many. They were really good against City in the Champions League, but otherwise I'm struggling to think of too many examples. Yes, there've been moments from players and brilliant goals, but collectively it hasn't been right for most of the season. In this game in particular, you know, Leganes are a team who are battling relegation. They've never beaten Real Madrid in La Liga. They're there at the Bernabeu and they gave it a really good go. And Madrid were struggling. The midfield is a big issue. For me, you know, this was a rotated Real Madrid side. Okay, there were some changes in the forward line. In midfield, you had Modric there and Camavinga, but there was no sort of control in that midfield the way that we saw in the past from Real Madrid midfields with Toni Kroos and Casemiro and Modric at his prime. Of course, Thibaut Courtois missed this game. He's got a short-term injury. They expect him to be back soon, but it's Lunin in goal for now. We've had issues all season at fullback. But yeah, this team has had problems, like I say, consistently. And given that, actually, it's quite impressive that they are where they are, which is still in the title race, in the Copa del Rey semi-finals and in the Champions League quarter-finals as well.
Now, if you were kind of not lazy, but you could just say, look, this is Real Madrid. We know what they're like. They'll get to this stage, they're still in the hunt, and then all of a sudden, they find those afterburners. They put in a great run between now and the end of the season. They'll win La Liga, win the Champions League. The striking thing, though, at the moment is the fact that Carlo Ancelotti has been trying to find a solution, trying to find a way for this team to play more successfully throughout this whole season. And there's been nothing that we have seen, as Alex quite rightly says, to suggest that he's anywhere near that solution.
Yep. Well, he's not, if it magically happens in the next 9 games, then it'll be difficult to put a finger on why. Because right now, Carlo Ancelotti doesn't know why.
Right. Because if he did, he would have fixed it.
Because if he did, it would have been fixed. We just have to deal with facts. And the facts is that they have so much individual talent that is absolutely getting them by. And because it's Real Madrid, you can't argue with that. This is not the first time in the last 2 or 3 seasons where they've either won the league or the Champions League because of individual talent.
I just feel it just smells a bit different this year.
It's not quite the same as it's been to watch. But they're still getting results.
Yeah, I know. It's so
that's the key. The key is they're getting results.
Right.
And so between now and the end of the season, it is possible that they get enough results to win the league.
Yeah.
We certainly won't be talking about them how silky and how enjoyable they were to watch.
No.
But the truth is, tough to back against them, isn't it?
Mario, are we being too hard on Real Madrid?
No, I think what Stevie said, yeah, it's you know, look, they always do the business, and I think that's very key. And even when I watch the game, you understand, they keep fighting back, right? They come back, Leganes comes back into the game. But then, clearly, when they were 2-2, the score was, and I see Rudiger dribbling right through the middle. He passes the ball, it goes wide, the ball gets accepted, and they get hit on the break. And you see Bellingham, you know, do everything, you understand, to put Garcia off in the box, and he goes wide with that ball. That would have been 3-2 for them, and they were losing 3-2 at that point. But then they still have that quality, and they always had that. It's not something new. So I don't think Madrid is doing something that we don't know. They always have stars in that team. And then, okay, Mbappe changes the game. You saw already from the kick, when the game started, his focus was, I want to score. And when he scored one time, you could see the focus of scoring the second goal. And then, of course, the way he did it, you understand, okay, the chips has the confidence, but the free kick was something else. I mean, that is just something that you really got to measure that moment and say like, okay, I know that gap is there, and I think he's going to be late to get to that point. And he bends it right around. The key thing for a goalkeeper is making sure that you put the wall, that the ball cannot go around you and bends it right in. And that's the key thing. If that happens, that player, oh my God, whew, good luck.
How is the Liverpool dressing room after that, Steve?
Oh, that's, that is the proverbial schoolboy.
Right, yeah.
Jumping out the way or whatever. Yeah, it's not acceptable at that level. Let's just put it that way.
Meanwhile, also not acceptable at the moment is Atletico Madrid's current form. Another poor showing from them in a 1-1 draw against Espanyol. And it's just mounted to what has been a miserable run. Really, since that 4-4 in the Copa del Rey, it has just been a complete disaster for Simeone's side. Out of the title race, Alex?
Yeah, I think so. Almost definitively at this point. This was the result that makes you think, no, it's too late. They can't make it up. They're not going to make up the grounds on both Real Madrid and Barcelona with just 9 games to go. It's just not going to happen. It's fallen apart over the last month. I don't think they've always played particularly badly in that time in these games, but they haven't been getting the results. They haven't been reliable enough. It's a disappointing end to a season. Let's see how it goes this week in the Copa del Rey semi-final against Barcelona, because if they go out of the cup as well, it really is season over, and that will feel like an extremely disappointing end to what at times looked like a really promising campaign.
Most definitely. They were in the conversation, of course, for La Liga, for the Champions League. Those two are done now. It's all, as you quite rightly say, Alex, about the Copa del Rey. And, of course, you can see that second leg tie live on Wednesday at the Metropolitano. What a match that should be. Of course, Barca, just a couple of weeks ago, went there and won 4-2. But before that, he, of course, has made quite the impact since moving from Manchester United. We need to crowdfund so he can stay at least another year. That was Isco after the game talking about the future of Anthony. Alex is still with us. Alex, has he really been that good?
Yeah, he's been fantastic. I mean, he probably hasn't been Betis' best player. I think that's been Isco. Isco's got a shout for player of the season in La Liga. But he's been very, very good. He's made a difference. He's been part of this really dynamic attack with Isco and Jesus Rodriguez and Cucho Hernandez, who's come and done a great job as well, leading the line. And I mean, that image of him, as you say, waving that giant flag after full time, which is one of the very best celebrations I think that you can get. Is anything that involves waving a giant flag on the pitch. You think back to kind of Graham Souness planting the Galatasaray flag in the Fenerbahce centre circle all those years ago. That's one of the images of the season, and it's sort of symbolic of how happy he is at Betis. And he looks like a player transformed. He looks like a man transformed. He's found his confidence. He's found his game again. He's playing really well. I mean, you mentioned it there, that quote from Isco. The big question is, can they work out a way to keep him? That might be difficult because Betis don't have much money to spend. We all know how expensive he was when United brought him in. It's difficult to imagine a package that would work for Betis that would work for United as well. But no, I mean, he's been absolutely transformed, and he's been key to making Betis one of the most fun teams to watch in Spain this season.
Of course, it hasn't just been Anthony, it's been Marcus Rashford as well. We saw him yesterday score a brace in Aston Villa's victory against Preston North End, which sees them advance to the next round of the FA Cup. Nedum joins us as well as Mario and Alex. Nedum, how do we explain this? It can't just be simply going somewhere new and a fresh start. As a professional, how does this work for players like Anthony and Rashford, who were so poor for United?
Yeah, well, to be honest, every player essentially is different. But I think, as you've mentioned it can at times be that simple. When you look at Anthony's situation in United, where towards the last few months, he wasn't really a starter for them. And for Rashford, he wasn't even making squads at all. I think it's fair to say that anybody that's played before, one of the toughest positions to be in is when you're available to play and the manager just doesn't trust you. You're not getting a chance to go out there and to be on the pitch to do what you can. And obviously there are times when players are out of form. Everybody goes through it at some level. But you have a belief, whether it's right or wrong, that you can have an impact. So for those players, they've had to leave, and they've left to places where they are wanted, left to places where people are bending over backwards to give them the opportunity to play. And for those two as well, because they're attackers, go and express yourself. Go and do something that's a real strength that you believe in yourself in. And you can go and score goals, you can have assists. And I think, as we saw there with those scenes with Anthony, like going to a place like Betis and having that derby and to be a part of it, like you join in with a huge part of history. There's a real identity. And I think anyone that supports a football club, you remember so many results across the years, but the ones that stick in your mind are the ones from those derbies. The likes of Anthony getting a chance to do that, Rashford doing what he's doing in the FA Cup now. You forget how nice it is to be playing football until all of a sudden you don't have that opportunity. But for those players, they have it. They have managers who are good managers who really trust them. And when they're out there on the field, like all that baggage that was there before, all of a sudden it doesn't matter anymore. No one's talking about what does this mean for Man United that you didn't score. It's like, welcome here. We want you to join us and help us be good. And with your qualities, we believe you can be great. And lo and behold, that's what's happening.
Funny old game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of strange what pressure does to you and expectation. Because that's what I feel with both of these players. I think with Anthony, the pressure of going to one of the biggest clubs in the world and being expected to step on the field and produce 85 million's worth of what you're supposed to be able to do, he couldn't handle that.
Right.
Whereas Rashford's is a different one. Rashford, to me, it's the expectation that was on him that he couldn't handle. You know, because he'd already previously done it in Manchester United.
Yeah, got the new contract.
It shows you that what he's capable of. But then when it turns from you're not expected to being expected to be the... I mean, not only just score goals, but be the saviour, because that's what he was at the time. And he couldn't handle that. And he couldn't handle it so badly that it started affecting his professionalism. Well, the stories about being in Dublin and not training properly, you know, so... The fact that he again has gone to Villa, and the expectation, there's no expectation when he went to Villa. Everybody's hoping he's going to do well. Villa fans are hoping that they're going to see the Rashford of old, but if they didn't, it wouldn't have been that big a shock to them. So it's a completely different environment he's in. The expectation isn't there, and Rashford can go and play. And with Anthony, that pressure of being at a huge club isn't there, and he's just going and playing as well.
Is it not up to the likes of Ten Hag and to Ruben Amorim and Mario to get the players into the sort of psyche where they can get that confidence back, where they don't need to be so concerned about their performance every time?
No, of course. You know, look, I think your manager can have effect on you, but you as an individual, when you have a goal set for yourself and you want to be that star that you why people are talking about you, and what Stevie said and Adam said the same thing. It's like saying like, look, when you come to a club like, okay, Rashford did it, so Stevie highlighted it, and then, you know, Anthony, I said it already, when he came at Ajax, he did it at Ajax, but didn't do it in England. Now, both of them are at a team where they want to, of course, as an individual, you want to prove a point. But the only thing is, the way you want to prove the point, there is no pressure with it in the sense of like, hey, you have to score, you have to play well. No, now it's more like, when you play well, it's more like, yeah, I know I could do it. So their confidence is back, they're growing. And I think, and it's at a lesser so-called pressure team. And it doesn't mean that Betis is not a good team. That doesn't mean that Aston Villa is not a good club to play for. No, they're great clubs. But the only thing, Man United is just a step ahead of that.
Can you bring this sort of form then back, use this as a stepping stone, a building block to return to Manchester United, Nadem?
That is a good question. I think, you know, this is something you asked me after the Preston Villa game. And to be honest, the different types of loans, as we said before, sometimes they send you out there to go and just play a bit of football, find some form, come back in and be part of the plans. But I don't know. I think with Rashford and to a certain extent with Anthony, it doesn't feel like that to me. I feel like if they're prepared to not have them here for the second half of the season, then the belief is they're probably going to be planning to not have them there next season. Whether or not they'll be able to have the opportunity to find a club that can afford it in that nature, that's obviously going to be tricky. But I think there's a statement in itself by them not being here at this point in the season when they still had something to play for. So I don't think they'll necessarily bring it back and, you know, be able to thrive. But, you know, we do like a good redemption story. Perhaps the thing is on the table for Amorim next season. But I would be very, very surprised given the fact that he has the squad that he has now. And, you know, he didn't want those two players there.
Given what you guys were saying, it's going to be very difficult, isn't it?
Yeah. For
either of these players to return and put in this sort of performance in a United shirt.
It's actually...
It's like all the bad stuff is back in your head again.
I'm with Adam. You know, once you get to a certain point, psychologically, with the whole situation, the club, the manager, everything,
the fans,
it feels almost impossible to turn it around.
Wow.
Now, is it possible? Yes, but tell you what, it's very, very small.
Just a reminder, a lot more reaction to what we saw in the FA Cup and La Liga over on our YouTube channel. We'll say thank you very much to Alex. If you haven't done so, be sure to go to ESPN FC and subscribe. A rarity this season, Manchester City had something to celebrate as they booked a place in the semi-final, coming from behind to beat Bournemouth by 2-1. Guardiola delighted by another cup semi-final, seventh heaven. Where did that headline come from? Here's Pep.
You're fighting like a team that wants to win this FA Cup so badly.
No, we were in semi-finals. Listen, we have except Bournemouth and of course and the teams that we faced in so far, it was in lower divisions. But when you are 7 times in a row, you play all the games, all the teams in the Premier League, in Championship. We always have been there. So we love the FA Cup. So hopefully we can reach the final. And I'm really pleased to play against Nottingham Forest.
Another trip to Wembley. If you make it to the final and win the FA Cup again, which I assume could be a priority, does it feel like that would make this season a success?
No.
No?
No. Our standards are much higher than this, so of course we would be happy, but it doesn't make the season good.
Honestly, there from Bernardo Silva. Nathan, you like to hear it? Are you celebrating 7 semi-finals in a row?
Oh, absolutely, Dan. Everything's back to normal. There's nothing to worry about. It's funny, actually, listening to Alexis talk to Bernardo Silva there, because Alexis was messaging me before the game saying, well, if you don't win this in this quarter-final, the whole season's a failure then, isn't it? And she's trying to goad me, because obviously she knows my City ways. But I think Bernardo Silva summed up very, very well. Obviously, they have aspirations to win the FA Cup. They're still in that competition. They've got a chance to go to Wembley, to get themselves a chance to go and play in a Wembley final, and to try and make a sort of redemption to what happened last year, losing a derby to United in that final last year, which some people say kept Ten Hag in a job. But in reality, they know they've had so many flaws this season, which they need to address if they want to be successful in the short, medium, and long term. So yes, it would be great for their final game to be one that features them lifting a trophy. That's like every player's dream as such. But it won't mask the issues that they've had this season. And if they were to rest on their laurels and go into next year and say everything's fine because they've won an FA Cup, should they do that, then we'll probably continue to see a downturn in what Manchester City is at this moment in time. So I'm with Bernardo Silva. I think Guardiola's made a point that, it's 7 semis in a row, which is actually quite significant because I don't think I can think of anyone else that has done that before. But they know
Nick, but no
themselves,
one's boasted about that before, have they? Who cares? Who cares about 7 semi-finals in a row?
That's because nobody can. That's because nobody can.
Because no one can.
So you can pipe down.
I'm sure Sir Alex is saying, I wish we made 7 semi-finals in a row.
Hey, don't worry about it. But the
point
point is they're contesting. The point is they're contesting in the FA Cup. I think Guardiola said it himself. They're very passionate about the FA Cup.
Oh, they are now.
Yeah,
very passionate. They played the last FA Cup final hungover.
7 in a row.
That's how passionate they were about it.
Listen, relax yourself. They were hungover the last time as well when they won that one. So you pipe down, Dan. But anyway, Bernardo Silva's right. It wouldn't make it a perfect season. But the fact is, they've managed to give themselves a chance. Yeah.
Nathan's spicy.
Still going.
Of course, it's City, Mario. He gets angry. What's interesting, Steve, is you can relate to this a little bit. Like, you won the FA Cup, what, 1992?
92, yeah.
So you had been part of a Liverpool side that had won European Cups, had won league titles. And then you go into the 92, you comfortably beat Sunderland in the final.
Yeah.
And you talked about this, it just doesn't feel the same.
No. We struggled all season. We didn't play well all season. I would say the camaraderie in the squad wasn't particularly fantastic either.
Right.
We got lucky in the draw. We never played anybody. I think maybe Aston Villa in the third round or something was the toughest game we had at home. And we played Portsmouth in the semi, second division team. Played Sunderland in the final, second division team. And even winning it, it just didn't feel right.
Right.
It didn't feel the way it did previously, or the way.
So you can understand Bernardo Silva's take on this.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, that Man City's about Premier League, it's about Champions League, and you know what? In all honesty, the FA Cup really is about getting other players a game when they're needing to rest the so-called starting 11 for winning the Premier League and winning the Champions League. So yeah, absolutely, really, it's great that I've won it. I look back now differently on it.
Right.
But I remember at the time just not feeling it.
Did you have a parade for that? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Oh, there you go. Mario?
Yeah, there's probably reasons I don't.
Yeah, no, I totally understand what Stevie says. And what Nathan highlighted too, because like I had a full example at Ajax. They won the Champions League, they won the league, and the next year was my final, the Champions League. We lost it, and we go on, and we win, we become like, I think we win the league in Holland unbeaten, and we win the cup. We celebrate it, everything, great, big. The year after that, we have a season, it doesn't go that well, and we win the cup again. Nobody talks about it. We don't even go and celebrate the cup. So with him saying that, it's because I understand, like I don't compare myself to City, but I understand in the level that you think and what you expect your team to do. And that is what he's saying. He's not saying that he doesn't respect the cup. No, we respected the cup too. But the thing is, when you're used to winning the big things, a cup winning should be a normality. And that is what he's saying. He's saying like, no, this season, compared to winning the cup, great. But no, the league is what it's all about for us. And then we carry on and put other trophies next to it. Because if he won the league and won the cup, he would have a different interview right now, I can tell you.
So, Nedum, obviously, Rodri will be back. He'll be like a new signing, blah, blah, blah. But there are other things that need to be done, don't they, to Manchester City to get them back to that level in which the fans want to see them be? What's their priority? What would your priority be if you're within that conversation over the summer?
I think the manager's got some decisions to make about, say, some of the older players within the squad, because he's mentioned himself that, there is this young emphasis in terms of players that they've signed, but you can't just get rid of the experience then and hope that somehow those young players will find a path and find a way to be as successful as, say, some of the more senior ones have been in the past. So I think that's going to be interesting for them. But then also this summer's going to be tough for them because, like Chelsea, they're in the Club World Cup. So there's no chance really for a pre-season and time off to try and bed in. Before you know it, this season rolls into the summer, rolls into the next season, and people have to be fighting fit and ready to go before what is arguably, one of the bigger years in people's careers, because it leads up to a World Cup as well. So I think from City's perspective, it's a tough one. I think for me this season, to be honest, for as much as it's good to see them, contesting in the FA Cup, I think that finished in the top 4, top 5, whatever it needs to be for the Champions League. I think that's going to be key for them in terms of pushing on for next season. And that would suggest that if they do make that, then they finish the season in better form. And I think that is going to be key, whether it's going to be a case of belief for some of the players that have arrived in and felt like this sort of negativity around the club, which hasn't been there for a long time. But yeah, I think the recruitment's going to be key, deciding who stays, deciding who goes, and making sure that going into that next season, which in theory is Guardiola's last, that he doesn't leave the place in a mess like we've seen some other managers do in Premier League history.
Kevin De Bruyne, stay or go, Nedum?
I would like him to stay. I know his football hasn't been anywhere near the best to his level this season. But then again, this is somebody who I think from when I speak to him, he's just quite chilled out. Like, he knows he'll be underperforming, but he'll know he can still have an impact. Whether or not it's going to be on a week-to-week basis, starting every single week, I'm not sure. But if he wants to stay, I'd try and get him to stay, because that type of person in and around the football club is always going to be important. And he could be key in terms of helping the next person come through to, hopefully try and take up the mantle from him.
Jack Grealish, stay or go?
Oh, that's a good one. You put me out there. This is going to get clipped to death online, isn't it?
No one's watching.
As far as Jack goes, yeah, nobody's watching. Yeah, no. Every time I get stopped on the street and say, "Oh, I watch FC," it's like, yeah, nobody's watching. But yeah, I think it feels like with Jack, he's at a point where he needs to play more football.
You can be quicker, Nedum. It's okay.
That he's going to be able to get that elsewhere. Yeah, go on then, Jack. More football. If it's a City, great. Otherwise, no, it's probably time to leave.
Jack Grealish told to leave by former Manchester City player Nedum and
Big headlines.
Oh dear. Yeah, just like that. Yeah. Cheers, Dan. Thank you.
We got City Forest, obviously Villa against Palace in the FA Cup semi-finals. Good, Steve, yeah?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, I mean, Forest know exactly how to beat Man City. Just keep it tight and break on them quick.
Yep.
Man City defensively, absolutely 100%, as we know, can be gotten at. 100%. So just do what you've been doing all season if you're Forest. Not making mistakes, not leaving holes, not giving anything away. And you've got a... Listen, if we were talking about this game this time last year, no, we wouldn't have given Forest a chance.
Nope.
It's going to be tight.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Mario, here is the option that I'll give you. In box A, you have Manchester City. In box B, you have Villa, you have Palace, and you have Forest. Which box are you taking?
Oh, Villa, Palace. I mean, Palace is in a great form, right? They haven't... Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm struggling. I'm struggling, man. I mean, normally I would easily say, oh, City, no problem. Yeah, they're going to win it. It's not going to be a problem. I'll take their bugs. Will Rashford bring it for me and bring me Aston Villa some glory? I might go for... No, I'm going to upset you. I go for Nottingham Forest. I go for that guy.
You take the box. Exactly, I like it. Nathan, you don't get a choice.
Tradition.
You don't deserve a box. Welcome in to the latest edition of Extra Time. Nadim is with us, Mario as well, Stevie. Stevie has, we've done this show for a very long time together, and you have a bit of a pre-show routine in which you like to clean your glasses. But the only person I've ever met in my life who cleans his glasses with hard A4 paper. Why not a cloth? Why not the inside of your shirt? A tie, maybe?
Well, because it works.
That can't be good for them.
This is one of those things that I remember my dad years ago saying to me, or he was doing it, and I said, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "Look, paper is great for cleaning glasses."
Well, so a cloth.
Just remember
so
that.
it's a bit of cloth.
Well, now and again I've got those little, those little things I carry around
yeah.
to clean them. But sometimes I forget.
Sometimes you forget and you just go paper. Ah, there we go.
It works.
Mario, it's the first time that we've been on since your new background. So I apologise if you've spoken about this before, but I'm interested. So there we are. That's all that matters. Over your right shoulder, who is the small child in the hat?
Oh, that's me, man. It was my birthday. My mom gave me a greatest birthday. Let me go on the boats through the canals of Amsterdam, and she gave me that captain's hat. So I was like, I think, what is it, around 5 years old?
Hey, that's magnificent. And then on your left, which goal is that you're celebrating?
On my left, that is Wembley. I think is a kid's dream. I think I scored a goal there. I broke my foot twice, so there was a moment. I didn't think I was gonna play football anymore. So it was kind of like that's why I put that picture there, because it reminded me of saying like it was a special moment for myself. Because I thought after breaking my foot twice in like 6 months, I thought football is over, and I came back and I did that. So.
Nate, I was going to ask you why we don't have any of your goal celebrations, but that's obvious.
Well, it's tough to capture, but I've got to say, with Mario's one, like you said, he's coming back from injury. It looks like he's broken both kneecaps, hamstrings, quads, everything doing that celebration. There's no way I could fold an
Nate,
like
you
that
know
and
what?
survive.
I saw that on TV. Nathan, you see it on TV. You see people celebrate like that. I wanted to copy them. Allow me.
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
Stevie, so your celebrations were just angry.
I was just angry.
Yeah.
I would never do that either. I'd be too scared that I'd get injured. Just go for the angry.
Can Salah, Virgil van Dijk, Alexander-Arnold all leaving in the summer actually be the best thing for Liverpool? Thus, they can reinforce the team and give Slot a new slate to work off to succeed, rather than just capitalising on Klopp's legacy.
How would you spell no?
I like the glasses half full element to it.
It's a very optimistic viewpoint.
Yes.
But I would suggest it's misplaced.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
I think the least impact would be Trent, because
Yes.
obviously you got Conor Bradley, but the other two, it's what's next.
Christian Pulisic, of course, was part of a Milan side that lost 2-1 yesterday against Napoli, Naden. Once again, we've seen it earlier on in the season, actually. He's one of the designated penalty takers, but didn't take the penalty then, didn't take it yesterday either. He gave it to Santi Jimenez, who then missed the penalty. Coach speaking afterwards said, Naden, he liked that from Pulisic because he was trying to give Santi some confidence.
No, I don't think so. So what's happened now that Jimenez has missed the penalty? Does that mean he's actually taken away his confidence? I just like
yes.
to see business as usual. If it's a penalty and you're the penalty taker, take it, score, we can all move on. If Santi wants some confidence, let's work on some shooting in training tomorrow. Let's not have this moment now to try and do this, because it doesn't always work out that way. And as we can see, Milan is struggling this season, and that sort of incident doesn't make it any easier for them.
Mario?
Yeah, it's a big game, my friend. And when I played, I remember Van Fosse told me once, I was on training for the national team, he said, remember that you play with my money, so don't joke about it. So this is one of those moments. He will definitely go to Pulisic and tell him that.
Who said that to you, Mario?
I played with Peter Van Fosse. He was at the Rangers as well. And Ajax and, you know, Feyenoord. But he said that to me when I came in the national team. He said, look, you know you're going to play one of your first games. It was like, I think my debut or something. And he said, but don't mess about because you play with my finance. So make sure you do your job really well. I said, yeah, okay. But in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, this guy ain't playing around.
Wow, what a line that is to a youngster.
Tell you what, there's no other way to take it than how it's given.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is something else. Your thoughts
you
on
take
Pulisic
it.
and the penalty out?
Absolute garbage, and the coach has missed the trick as well. The coach should be saying, okay, he thought he was doing the right thing, but in future, I decide who takes the penalties.
Right.
I must take them. That's what he should have said, not throwing fluff on it.
Throwing fluff. For Nadem, how seriously do you think Pep will take the Club World Cup as a tournament this summer? Do you expect he'll heavily rotate the team? Ugh.
I think Guardiola and Maresca, because they're the two English sides that are going, I think they'll kind of just have to take it as being like a pre-season almost, because it's the only chance they'll get to sort of have that group together and to sort of prepare for the next season. Obviously, in time, you know, if they manage to get to the later rounds of it, they'll probably have a stronger emphasis in terms of the sides that they'll pick. But I don't think they'll turn it into a complete jolly up. But again, the timing of it, especially because you finish the season, there's an international period there, then you strain for a month's worth of football. They'll take it as seriously as they need to because of the financial element to it. But in reality, the timing couldn't be more inconvenient for those teams that have an August through May calendar. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be a priority as such unless it needs to be in the later rounds.
It's so difficult, unless you're Gab, obviously, the contrarian that he is, to put up any argument as to why, Mario, this is going to be good for everyone.
This is good for everyone regarding the TV and stuff like this, you understand? Because as an individual, you have to be honest, you want to think about your body and you want to recover because your goal is winning the league, right? And then the Champions League comes there because it is the history and the cup game. But this is another tournament that is added to the program. So I think if they want to build it to importancy, then it will take a longer journey. So at the moment when it kicks off, I don't think players will focus on that. And you also have to remember, some of them, you finish the season, you go on holiday, you come back. You think you're going to worry about making sure you're going to play that tournament? No, you're going to make sure that you're fit when the league kicks off.
I just don't see the point of it.
No, it's going to be
Can't believe it.
Last week, Nadem, L'Equipe revealed manager salaries, with Simeone being the highest paid and David Moyes earning nearly 3 times what Xabi Alonso makes. I don't have a question, really, just surprising is all.
I think given the sort of money and stuff that's in the league, in the Premier League, it doesn't really surprise me that a manager can be earning the type of money which, say, other managers don't have. It's the same way that, for example, for players, if you wanted to earn quite a lot of money in and around Europe, not only you don't just need to go to the Premier League, you could be in the Championship, for example, because by comparison, you get paid a lot more there than you do in other big leagues around the world. So I think sometimes we look at it from a status standpoint of like you're managing in this league and you are this person, but in reality, the leagues are what they are. You know, the income from those leagues and the eyes on it and the value of the leagues is essentially what it is.
Yeah. But also, I don't think Alonso is also not motivated by finance. You understand? For him, he will not be motivated by that. I understand the differences, and what Nadem highlights is perfect. You understand? Because sometimes his goal is like achieving what he achieved prior to this, that we're talking about it, and just carry on. And when the moment comes to get that, no, it's a total different thing. And the league, the Premier League, everybody knows that.
Final question, Stevie. An MLS coaching job just opened up in Kansas City.
Right.
Peter Vermees, of course, sang.
Yep.
You in? Tons of shepherd's pie, places in KC, some incentive for you?
Well, if we do a show from KC, I'll go to where the shepherd's pie places are.
Right.
But
you have no inclination to go back to coaching?
None.
No?
Absolutely none.
No. Mario, did you ever consider coaching?
No, never, my friend. Listen, I like my life. I leave the coaches for everybody else that enjoys it. I played the game, I've been around the coach. Sometimes I wanted to attack the coach because I didn't like him. But listen, now I just enjoy and talk about football and I love it.
And we love it having you, Mario, yes. Nadem, what about you?
No, absolutely no chance. But shout out to Peter Vermees. Like, he was there when I was playing MLS, and KC were a really good side. Obviously, the last few years they've fallen off a little bit, and it's obviously led to him losing his job. But I think he was a great servant for MLS and hopefully finds another job soon.
What a lovely speech, Naden. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Just a reminder, ESPN FC returns to your screens tomorrow. Real Madrid in action against Real Sociedad. Plus there's some Premier League matches as well.
Good.